shutting all the critters out.
Awakened Radio Network is brought to you by our sponsors. Visit and let them know you heard about them here on the Awakened Radio Network. Do you have health and medical problems the regular medical system cannot seem to figure out how to fix? If the answer is yes, then check out rifeenergymedicine.com. That is Rife spelled R-I-F-E. rifeenergymedicine.com for a new way to approach many of your health problems. rifeenergymedicine.com. Are you looking for a fun and easy and productive way to promote and advertise your personally owned business? If so, the Awakened Radio Network just might have the solution for you. Visit awakenedradio.net and look up under our products and services tab. Or add Awakened Radio to your Skype contact and send Donna Devane, the station owner, a message. Or you can add DonnaDevane@gmail.com to your email contacts and send Donna an email letting her know that you would like to set a time to go over how to advertise your business in a way that makes getting sales easy without the struggle and a whole lot of fun. Do you have a message, something that just burns within you that you couldn't stop talking about even if someone offered to pay you to? Well, you just might be the type of host that we're looking for here on the Awakened Radio Network. Add Awakened Radio to your Skype contacts or send Donna Devane, the station owner, a message, DonnaDevane@gmail.com. And let's set up a time to talk and see if you and Awakened Radio Network are on the same consciousness wavelength. We might can work together and provide a win-win where your message goes out on our airwaves, reaching our global listeners, bringing fun, self-growth, and a whole lot of excitement to both your life and the Awakened Radio family.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Carmilla Little Rose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Yes, welcome my friends. Welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio, and this is your host, Carmilla Little Rose. Welcome to another beautiful Tuesday morning here, and always enjoy being here with you. And as I always start out with is just inviting you to join me either in the chat room or on the phone. You can tune in on your cell phone at tunein.com. There's so many ways to listen to this show and all the shows at Awaken Radio. And it's always wonderful to have somebody in the chat room and just share yourself with us here. It makes me feel so happy to share this with others. And, of course, at a certain time in the show, if you have any questions, any comments, any sharings that really relate to what we're talking about, you're very welcome to call in at 334-649-7204. I always love to hear from you. Now, today we're going to have another episode where I talk a lot about embodiment, being in your body, being in the feelings, being in your present experience, because that's simply what I do. That's all that I'm about, and that's why I can't stop talking about it. Just like Donna said in the in the ad in the beginning, you know, if you can't stop talking about it, it's because there is something here that it just wants out. It just wants to be shared. And I keep sharing it with you, and I can't help it because it's so powerful. It's so transforming for both me, my friends, my clients. It's just amazing when you start coming into your body and start allowing your body to be your source of wisdom, which it already is, but we don't always pay attention to it. So it's a matter of learning how we can allow the body to speak to us instead of us resisting what it's been trying to tell us for so long. Today, what I specifically want to talk about, and I have a guest here who wants to share her experience about that, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the work called Hakomi, which is something I've been practicing for many, many years that has transformed my life probably more than anything, along with going on retreats and meditating and going inside. But without this work that is called Hakomi, that I'll talk a little bit about, I don't know if I would actually have been able to be so present in what is going on from the inside out, not just as a far distant observation of what's happening and then commenting back, but it's like being right in the middle of it and allowing the experiences that are there to just be there and to unfold and complete themselves when I get out of the way. And that's, I see as one of the really, really essential parts of going from waking up to embodying what we have realized. So Hakomi is a somatic or body-centered way of working to bring clarity, to bring awareness, consciousness from the inside out into your life, so you're not living separate from yourself. And I actually just have to let my cat out. She's in here wanting out. Hold on a second. It's being noisy. There you go. I kind of knew that was going to happen, but I was hoping he would stay snoozing. So I want to just share with you what Hakomi is built on, because it's actually built on some principles that we work with. The first one is mindfulness. Then the second one is non-violence, mind-body integration, and unity and organicity. And let me just tell you a little bit about what the founder of Hakomi, Ron Kurtz, he summarized what mindfulness is, so you can get a deeper understanding of what the work is. He says that mindfulness is self-observation without interference. It's the observation of a constant, spontaneous flow of one's own experience, the ever-changing contents of consciousness. It is a turning inward and allowing without interfering or taking any action. It's letting impulses and thoughts arise and watching them subside. It shows up as the ground for all the experiments and the work that we do in the Hakomi work. And that helps bring up deep unconscious material into consciousness so that it can be met and transformed. So as it relates to how I keep talking about, the word allowing is so key to this work, and it's so key to my life. And when you understand that mindfulness, and then if you combine it with non-violence, that means you create a safe, non-forceful place to explore this content. And when you understand mind-body integration, which is another one of the principles, you start understanding that the mind and body is really one thing. And it's like mind-body is like a joint manifestation and reflects the belief that we hold about ourselves, and we can experience them by going into the body and finding what it is that's running our life. And then the other two principles are unity, which this principle assumes that as people we are living organic systems. And it's one thing. That's why when you start moving into that place of allowing, you start realizing that you're not two. It just seems like it's several parts, but it's really one unity. It's one whole. And then the last one is organicity, that assumes that when all the parts are communicating with the whole, then the system is self-directing and self-correcting. So it's learning to get to that place where we are able to just allow, because then we allow the natural unfolding of who we are, and all the areas that we are are in knots, are holding on, are resisting, they can start opening up and blossoming into the full blossom and flower that we are. So this will make you understand a little bit more maybe about why I am so passionate about this work. And then I had this wonderful guest that is on the show today, and her name is Jodi Christensen. And Jodi offered to share with us here on the show what it is like to be on the other end of this Hakomi work, where you receive and learn how to do that, how to be in your experience, and how to not resist. So I'm very, very grateful, Jodi, that you are here and want to share that with us. And let me just give a little bio about Jodi so you understand a little more about Jodi, and then we're going to dive right into it. Jodi Christensen was born in San Diego just about 60 years ago, and at the age of 19, she dropped out of college, sold her car, and moved to Hawaii to be with a man that she's still married to. Along the way, she's done many things, from software engineering in Silicon Valley to designing and renovating homes and office spaces. One of the things that most delights her is to create something with her mind and then make it with her hands. So she learned to set tile, do electrical work, hang drywall in her mid-50s just because she wanted to actually do the building as well as the design. It's quite an accomplishment. Jodi has struggled with depression most of her life. And nearly 3 years ago, she and her husband moved to San Jose, from San Jose to SoCal and Santa Cruz, and she felt a dark cloud of depression becoming more solid and dense. It took time to gather strength and resources, but a little over a year ago, she decided it was time to get to the bottom of it. So from here, I would like to introduce and welcome Jodi Christensen. Welcome, Jodi. It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thanks, Pernilla.
Hi, you're welcome. So nice to have this time together on the show. It's it's so different to talk to somebody on a radio show, whatever connection we have in life, but to suddenly be on air, it can feel a little exposed and vulnerable and scary maybe, or maybe exciting. But there's something very powerful when we just are willing to speak our truth and not hold it back, because that really shows another side of just the allowing part, right? Allowing all of who we are. So much, much gratitude to you today, Jodi. And if we just want to dive right in, maybe I can start asking you that what prompted you to offer to be on this radio show today?
Okay, well, I was listening last week, and at the end of your show you said you didn't know what you would be doing next week, whether you would have a guest or not. And this thought just came into my mind. It's like, wow, this Hakomi work is so powerful. I wonder if she might want to have somebody on to talk about what it's like to do that process. And so then I mentioned it to you, and you said yes.
Great. That's so cool. And I'm sure there is more than just, I mean, I love that you just listened to and trusted that voice, because that's usually one we will push away, right? It's like, nah, I don't think so. But you were willing to allow it to come forward and not resist it, and then just see what would happen. And here we are.
Yeah, my stomach's not sure it wants to be on the radio, but the rest of me is okay with it.
You know, my stomach feels like that too sometimes, but I just breathe into it and allow it to be there.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you know, we know by now, we're more than our stomach, so we don't have to let that run the whole show here, but it's part of who we are. You know, when we have these uncomfortable feelings, these fears, whatever it is, they're just part of the expression of consciousness, as I just read from Ron Kurtz, right? It's just the arising and the falling of things in consciousness. And that's very much a Buddhist approach, which Ron Kurtz, he was definitely a Buddhist. And that's why a lot of the Buddhist work is incorporated in this work. And mindfulness is big on that one. And I know you were able to just act on that little voice there. And so, yeah, and then of course, yeah, Jodi, I could ask you a few questions. Is there something that's burning inside of you that you want to start out with?
Well, I was looking through, as I've been doing this work, every once in a while I'll write something. And I found something today that I think might be appropriate to share. I don't know. I could read it. It's a short little piece.
Yeah, please.
Okay. This is called Remodeling the Psyche. It seems like this trip I'm taking to find a way to love myself is a lot like remodeling an old house. It starts with the worst jobs, the messiest, most difficult, time-consuming, and least gratifying stuff like clearing junk out of the basement, tearing out worn carpeting, repairing cracks in the foundation, and replacing rotten subflooring. It creates a lot of debris, dust, noise, and fatigue, and it's no fun. Everything is worse than it was before the demolition started, and there isn't even a peaceful place to lie down, let alone space to cook a decent dinner. However, once the underpinnings are sound, more interesting work can be done. Great new workspaces can be created, elegant tile installed, striking paint colors applied, and inspiring artwork hung. And soon enough, there's order and beauty once again. Then just when we think we are done, another weak spot is discovered. It probably means the new exterior siding has to be removed temporarily while termite damage is repaired. But that work goes relatively quickly and things are better than ever before. And so it is with our spirits, minds, and bodies. Now, I don't speak from the other side of spiritual remodeling here, but from actual residential rehab. I assume they're similar. At least I hope so. We have to dissolve unkindness in our thoughts and actions before we can begin to build a life on the glory that surrounds us. The dissolution in my case has proven to be messy, painful, and quite protracted. It sometimes seems that each second of grace is followed by hours of hell, but I have very high hopes that the pain, doubt, and unease will be replaced by joy, knowing, and peace. And sometimes I have those things. And of course I know there will be the inevitable rough patches down the road. It has been said that suffering is optional. I'm not sure about that. When one is born and raised in a godless household and trained to believe in their essential unworthiness, it's practically a given that there will be suffering should one have the audacity to demand more than mere existence. And the better one is at hating oneself, the more likely that suffering will be deeply rooted. It's only on the other side of suffering that one can see that it is not required, and in the midst of it, that information isn't very helpful and can actually be used as another sharp weapon against the self. I used to say no extra points for suffering, but I'm taking it back. I'm giving endurance and bravery points to those who stay the course even for a little while. It seems like if the universe wants us to live from our true nature, the process could have been made a whole lot easier. It's a very screwy design, and I hope to someday understand the usefulness of this peculiar scheme. Let's see. It's so much easier and cheaper to assuage unhappiness with a bacon double cheeseburger, curly fries, and a jumbo chocolate shake. Unfortunately, it's not very effective, but still many choose this path, and it's hard to blame them. For me, though, there is no choice but this. I'm not a quitter. If somebody says impossible to me, I reply, oh yeah, watch this, because I have a sense that the glory is pretty glorious and the pain will be erased in the blink of an eye. Check back with me next week and I'll let you know how it's going.
That's amazing. You know, maybe there's a book waiting here. Oh my!
Well, there might be.
This is very, very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, I know this is something that relates to so many, many people, and it's just been, most of us have had, you know, a challenging life, and for whatever reason, that's how it was. And what we are learning, that that's not how it has to continue to be. And that can sometimes be hard because all we know is the hardship. So I celebrate you, Jodi, for really having come to this place that you can even write like that with such clarity, because there's so much wisdom in what you write. And double cheeseburger and fries, you know. And it's true, because we grasp for that. We reach out for comfort food so we don't have to feel our feelings. And it's simply because we have never, ever learned how to do it differently, because nobody in our upline generations knew how to do that. It's something that's just been passed on from one to the other, and that's all we know. And now we have the opportunity to do it differently. Energies are changing, times are changing, and we're learning to allow and be mindful instead of getting lost in it. So, hallelujah, girlfriend, that's beautiful. And then also you say, you know, when somebody says impossible, I don't know if you've heard this one, but it really is, I am possible. If you just, yeah. So I think, yeah. And I read that a while ago and I thought, oh, that's brilliant. So, of course, nothing is impossible, but I am possible. And that's really the truth of it. So, wow, that's beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I do hope that you might write a book or something one day, because I think a lot of people will be able to benefit from that kind of clarity.
It's to do that.
So, Jodi, let's see. What would you like to share a little bit about how you came to start working with Hakomi and with me? Like, what drove you to do this? Because it sounds from your bio too, you've been trying a number of things and for a long time, and something in you still took one more leap, huh?
Right. If you had talked to me about 2 years ago, I would say it's not possible to change. I really believed that, because I had tried everything I could think of, everything that's offered, psychiatric consultations, psychotherapy for years, and just, you know, came to the place where I was taking medication for depression. And all that could really do is just keep the depression kind of at a paler shade of gray. But there never was really any real joy, and just a lot of pain and discontent. And one day I just decided, okay, enough. Maybe those things don't work, but maybe something else will. There's got to be something different. This is Santa Cruz, for crying out loud. There are all kinds of things going on over here. And so I was just doing a web search, and I came upon some neurofeedback. There's a guy in town who does that. And I thought, well, that's not talking. So I would try that, because I was really tired of rehashing my story over and over and over again. It just didn't seem to provide any relief. So I started there, and then I also started talking to a somatic counselor, and she suggested working with you. And once I heard what Hakomi was, that it wasn't just talking about what was bothering me and my rotten childhood and all of that boring stuff, I decided, yeah, I will try that. And so here I am.
Here you are.
Here I am. And I just find it, very interesting. I feel like I'm in kindergarten again, just learning how to live this life. Like you said, there are so many things that we just weren't taught. One of the most striking things that I've learned in working with you is that I am more than my thoughts and feelings. And that was just, that floored me. It's like, really? Because I'm a brain dweller, I'm an engineer. I am somebody who considers their body, or at least used to consider their body, just transportation for the brain. And so that was stunning to me. That really took a long time for me to even begin to consider accepting as true. And the other thing that's so nice about working with you is just stopping exactly where I am with whatever is going on, the most unacceptable thoughts or feelings, and just sitting right there with them and allowing them to be exactly as they are. Such a strange concept and so powerful. There's nothing quite like letting those little screaming voices scream unabetted, just free to be as they are. It sounds so simple. And it is simple, but not so easy.
Yeah. It is not easy, especially in the beginning, and it certainly gets easier, as you probably know. But in the beginning, it can be very challenging to take on this whole idea that I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my feelings, and like, well, what am I then? And that's, of course, what this work is about. And I also teach meditation, and I have this CD set. And it's really helping people to get to this place to see that our thoughts are not who we are. They are actually just these little things that are running through our mind, and we can engage with them, or we can say no thank you to them. And it's a matter of learning. It's a new skill that we need to learn. And I'm just noticing the time. We are just about ready to go on our break here. So in a few minutes, Jodi, we're going to continue this really, really very inspiring conversation we're having. I'm really taking it in and really touched by the depth of your sharing. So before we go on the break, I just want to invite the listeners, if you want to learn a little more about the work that I do or what Hakomi is, I want to invite you to go to my website, which is lillarose.com, LILLAROSE.com. And here you can read more about, there is something about Hakomi, something about how I work. If you wanted to explore maybe what it might be like for you, you can set up a half-hour free discovery session where we explore a few things and see if this is something you want to do more of. So just browse around, have fun, and then we're going to go on a break, and we will be back shortly, and then we'll continue this great conversation.
We are awakened. Come and join our love, it's so right. If you could feel what we feel now, you'd be a leader, filled with mind, cause we're awakened. You won't.
And now a word from the Awakened Radio sponsors. In 1993, the Einstein College of Medicine patented a blood electrification device to clean the blood of bacteria and virus droplets. The device was just too cheap and effective and was not implemented into standard medical practice in hospitals. See where that patent has led to. Check out HorseMagneticPulsar.com. That is Pulsar, spelled with an ER, not AR. HorseMagneticPulsar.com. Have you taken part in the prosperity game at the Awakened Radio Network? Visit our homepage, awakenedradio.net. Find out how you can win prizes just by exercising your money muscle. A $1 donation gets you in the drawing every month for prizes that will blow your mind. Check out the prosperity game here on the Awakened Radio Network, awakenedradio.net. Are you looking for a way to get your name in print? Well, we have an answer for you here at Awakened Radio Network. We are publishing Thrive Evolutionary Consciousness Magazine the 20th of every month. If you would like to submit an article, poetry, or artwork, please visit our website, awakenedradio.net. Look at the top where it says Thrive Evolutionary Consciousness Magazine. You will find information on how to submit an article, poetry, or artwork. There are also information there for you to advertise and get the word out in our magazine that reaches thousands of people globally at very affordable rates. Awakened Radio Network and Thrive Evolutionary Consciousness Magazine are working together with you for a win-win for everyone. Success is a lifestyle.
Welcome back to Evolutionary Women Radio, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Thank you for joining and listening. This is your host, Pernilla Little Rose, and this show is brought to you by Women Standing for Love. Welcome back. Welcome back again. This is Evolutionary Women Radio Show with my guest today, Jodi Christensen, who is sharing her experience of really learning to become present and with all the material that arises in the unconscious and how to do that. And Jodi, you welcome back. You just shared about, realizing or beginning to realize that you're not your thoughts, you're not your feelings. It actually also includes you're not your body. I remember when I was in India many years ago, when I went to be initiated to the oneness blessing or Diksha, I remember that was one of the things Bhagavan, the guru there, he said, your thoughts are not your thoughts, your feelings are not your feelings, your body is not your body, and yourself is a mere concept. And that's kind of what a lot of the work is based on, to really realize that. But as you know, and as anybody really knows who's done some of this work, it's like you can't just bypass, even though you're not your thoughts and your feelings. A lot of spiritual people, they try and bypass it when they have maybe a full realization or a half realization. There's a tendency to bypass it and say, oh, it's not real, doesn't matter, it's not who I am. And even though that is true, if it's not realized, it's not really true. Is it, Jodi?
For sure. There's a real difference between understanding something with your mind and having it be true in your body.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Yeah. So, So what's changed for you so far? I know it's a journey, and you know what I also appreciate about what you're sharing, Jodi, is that we're not trying to sugarcoat anything here. There is a tendency, a lot of the therapies out there, or the models or the modalities and the teachings, the coachings, that there is like, oh, it's so easy, you know, and you know, some things let go easily, for sure. There are some of the layers that are on the surface and they are ready to be shed. And then there's the deeper ones. And I think it's good to realize that some just have their own lifespan, and we just need to allow them. Here we go again, allow, right? To allow all the layers, the really deep, dark ones, that they may need more time than the ones that are more on the surface, that may not be as believed or as ingrained as some of the other ones. And also a lot of them are so ingrained in our collective psyche that we actually do the work for more than just ourselves. So from that point of view, it's like, yeah, it does take time because we're doing it for all of us. And so, yeah, would you like to comment or share a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yesterday was a particularly tough day, and I do some other things in addition to the Hakomi. I go and do some network spinal analysis as support work. And so I was doing that. I was talking to the practitioner, and I was telling her about, you know, every time I make some progress, it feels like there's something deep inside me that's pushing back, you know. So it's a real, like an isometric exercise, you know, where you use the muscles against themselves.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I'm starting to understand so much more about your process. She said, you have picked a really formidable opponent in this battle. And that's what it feels like too. It feels like the things that I am working out are so much more than just what has happened in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's true is I do not have a choice. This is just going to happen.
Yeah.
There's just no two ways about it.
Yeah. And you know, you have that strength and that courage in you, and that tenacity, almost like, no, I am not going to give up here. And you know, it's something that not everybody has that naturally, or not everybody is in touch with that, because at the core we do have that. But it's a matter of getting to that place inside where we want to be free more than anything. And until we reach that, we are going to want other things instead of freedom, which is safety, security, comfort. You know, those are the ones we often choose, and then we let go of that energy that wants us to be fully free. And there's nothing wrong with wanting safety, security, you know, comfort. That's all part of living a wonderful life here. But if we do it at the expense of our freedom, then we get stuck along the way. I think Adyashanti, one of the teachers I've been with in the past, he would say, you know, it's like you set up camp halfway up the mountain, but you're not there yet. And then you can get together with other people there, and everybody's fine, you know, because, you know, it's pretty cool here, but you're still not free. So when you get tired of that campground, you know, you may pick up your tent and keep moving forward. So it's all fine. It all is good, and we can pick whatever we want. But when you have such a strength and willingness to be free, you know, you're going to be free. There's no way about it.
Yes. I'm going to be free, or it's going to kill me. That's going to go. It's just how it is, you know. Yeah. It's not me deciding. It just is what it is.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something bigger at stake there. So, would you like to share a little bit about what it's like for you to actually start just observing your experiences as opposed to either resisting them or grasping for them or getting lost in them or believing them, denying them. That's usually that balance between resisting and believing, right? And how it is that you're moving between those two, if I'm saying that clear enough for you to share maybe what you can about that.
Yeah. Oh boy. It can be confusing. It can be liberating. It can be painful. It can be exhilarating. It's a roller coaster ride. That is what it is. And there's a subtle aspect of it too. There's this differentiating between what's true and what's not true, and that takes a lot of concentration and persistence. One morning I woke up. I wake up sometimes with just this burning pain in my stomach, and I go, oh gosh, is it you again? So one morning I woke up and I was like, okay, just be there. Just be there. I'm just going to be here. You can do whatever you want. I'm trying not to believe you. I'm doing the very best I can. And this old Tom Petty song came to my mind, and it's I Won't Back Down. And and that's how it is. It's like, okay, you can stand me up at the gates of hell and I won't back down. You can torture my stomach and I won't back down. It's like, I know there's got to be something better than this on the other side, and so I will just go through this. Yeah, and so I downloaded like 6 different versions of that song, and I would march up and down the hill near where we live, singing at the top of my lungs, I will not back down. My neighbors probably think I'm insane. They might be right.
Yeah, these old energies, they don't all just let go. Some of them, they want to hang in there because we fed them for so long, and they don't quite know that there's no more food for them, so they keep begging. It's like, hey, you used to feed me. And so it takes time, and I really appreciate you can share from that level, because this is so true, and I really want everyone to understand that the journey into freedom is not necessarily easy, but it takes a willingness to to move through it. And what happens, which you might also be experiencing, is that it's not that your situation necessarily changes right away, but what does change is our relationship to it, right? It's the part of us that either resists or believes or gets lost in. That part is what we start pulling back from the experience into that part that normally is, if you imagine your hands are on it, right? You're either battling with it or you're believing it or you're trying to push it away. If you get your hands off, then you can see it more for what it is. So that is really, it's that gap that's created, and then then you're not feeding whatever that is, because you say, if you stand at the gates of heaven, or hell, I won't back, right? But what is that, right? But as far as I can see, that what we call that is our own holding on, and it's the attachment for whatever reason. No judgment, no, it's fine, but that is what starts letting go, and then you start pulling back your energy into yourself, and then you can start realizing, well, if I'm not that, right, what am I then?
Well, exactly.
So, yeah, you can relate to that?
Yeah, I can, because before I started working with you, there was no space, there was no distance between those thoughts and feelings and myself.
Yeah.
And now I can look at them and go, oh, this is painful, but it's not it's not who I am. You know, this just needs to work its way through. It's like I think of those toys that you wind up, you know, with a spring, and then they just start jumping all over the place. I feel like it's like that. It's like that energy gets stored in our bodies and our minds, and it just needs time to unwind.
So well said. I love that example too, you know. But what we normally do is we go in and rewind it again. We turn it again, and then it takes another turn, right? Or we try and nail it down, but the thing is, it hasn't finished running, so as soon as we take our hands off, it has to complete the cycle.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't believe that. Let me wind that up again and see if that's how it works.
That's great.
And then you go, oh, why did I do that?
Yeah. So really, I mean, when you look at it from that angle, you can see that it is really us who keep filling it with energy, so it keeps doing its thing, and the more we can take off our hands, it really is a matter of time. And for some, it may be a minute or an hour, and you know, for others, it can be a lot longer than that.
Yeah, I think it depends on what your assignment was when you came here this time. I don't know what I signed up for, but oh my God.
Yeah, I think we all sign up for liberation, not for just for ourselves, but for the whole, at least the way life seems to be now. There is an evolutionary process towards wholeness and love and community and working together, and the unity inside of ourselves and with our surroundings, right? That seems to be the movement or the impulse of evolution, if you really tune in. And the more we follow that impulse, the easier it will be, because when we go against that evolutionary impulse, it's like going against a tsunami, and that takes a lot of work, you know.
I know. Yeah, I would love to just take my hands off the wheel, and I'm working at it.
Yeah, that's the work. Is take the hands off the wheel and then let it just complete itself. And then when your hands are off the wheels, anybody of us, when our hands are off the wheel, then we can start paying attention. Well, who am I? And that's just the natural process of waking up. But if we try and avoid any of these little unfinished toys that are running around, you know, we're doing the bypass, and they're going to drain our energy, and we want to be free from the inside out. At least that's my commitment to myself, my message, my clients, my life, to be fully free from the inside out and meeting everything with love, as I've talked so much about on the radio. You know, when you realize that you are love, then love is the best tool and solvent you'll have to dissolve the things that are not aware that they're love yet. And those are the parts, of course, that we keep rejecting and disowning. And so I don't know how that relates to, if anything, you want to share about the love, the self-love that can be challenging at times.
Yeah, in my mind, I completely understand that it's ridiculous not to love myself. I totally get it. And there are some parts inside that are starting to soften around this. And there are some parts that still just don't understand, you know. And like I talked about before, it's one thing to understand in your mind. It's another thing to have all of those little unloved bits in my body understand it and just give up that old belief that I'm unlovable, because that's just so ridiculous.
Well, now, you know,
so ridiculous.
And to be able to see that and say that, that tells me that there is already a lot of space around it, right? Because when we are totally lost in it and believe it, we can't say that's ridiculous, because it's simply we're too identified with it. So there's already a gap happening, and it's just beautiful to hear you speak like that, because that's what we all want. Just see the ridiculousness of not loving ourselves, and then learn to love ourselves. And that's just part of the evolutionary process, that love is gonna love rules. Love rules. And,
yeah.
But love is not fully in the throne yet, but it's on the way up.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I insist.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so Jodi, would you like to share a little bit about maybe the difference between the Hakomi work here and maybe what you've done in the past? Because it sounds like you've done more than you wanted maybe of therapy in the past. And maybe you can share a little bit more about if listeners want to know the difference. I know we've gone into it already. Is there anything else that might be helpful to share?
You know, there's in the traditional psychotherapy, there's a real distance between the therapist and the client or the patient, and that I always found so alienating. You know, I am looking for love and acceptance, and it's like the therapist has their arm out with their hand up. It's like, stay back. There's only this much, you know, there has to be this much space, emotional space between us. And that's just not so in Hakomi. There have been times when I have come into your office and I was just really struggling with something, and you would look in my eyes and you would say, let's let it all be here. You know, and maybe I would close my eyes and start to get lost in the sadness, and you would just come and you would look right in my eyes, and maybe you would even hold my hands, and I just felt so safe and so cared for and so seen. That is just an enormous difference. That makes all the difference. You know, and the other thing is, we're not so interested in my story, and in psychotherapy, that's what it is. It's just rehashing the junk over and over again. And it's like, oh God, just ow. And so, you know, I will start with a little story, but then immediately you'll get me to, okay, feel where it is. Where is it in your body? Let's go there. Let's be with that. And there's something that's so relaxing about that. I don't have to get all involved in the details of what happened and who was wrong and on and on and on. It's so simple to just be with the feeling, the sensation, to describe it, to observe it, to feel it, and to watch it shift and change, and to watch something relax a little bit.
Yeah, beautiful. You know, that's really what I love about the Hakomi work, that there is a deep connection. You know, it's like that kind of intimacy of just holding a hand or looking into somebody's eyes and just bring them back into the moment. And these are the things that we in Hakomi call the missing experience. And we all have a lot of missing experiences from our childhood. And it could be just being seen, being heard, being acknowledged, or hearing something that we are longing to hear even to this day. And until that part inside of us that is longing for it is being seen or heard or whatever it is that has been missing, until that actually happens, there's a good chance that we're going to keep looking for it, and usually in the wrong places. We wanted it, we needed it when we were little, we didn't get it, but there's still that part of us that needs it because it is actually an essential part in our development, in becoming the human being that we are. It's like there's a little missing piece there, and we can fill that by giving that so that the client, the receiver of it, can start finding it in themselves. But until it's modeled from the outside, it can be difficult to find it in ourselves other than a concept, right? We want it to be the direct experience of it, and that's where the transformation can happen, because then something starts relaxing. And when those contractions in a body start relaxing, then we can start receiving and listening and understanding things we couldn't before. So yeah, that's a big part of it, and probably one of my favorite parts, because that's the connection most of us are longing for.
Absolutely, yes. It's very important.
Yeah. Wow, Jodi, time is going so fast here. I can't believe we only have 5 more minutes left. So, I would like to ask you, first of all, I want to deeply, deeply thank you for being here. I just really, really enjoy all the sharing we're having here and your honesty and depth. And I wonder if there's anything you would like our listeners to know before we come to the end, something that you think might help them because it helped you, or any kind of insights or tips.
Okay, let's see. Well, just beginning with the idea that you're not your thoughts and your feelings. I don't know. A lot of times I'm really late to the party, so maybe people already understand this. What else? That things fluctuate, they change. Some days are good, some days are not so good, and that there's a certain faith that has to be kept to continue on, to know that there is an end. I've told Pernilla before, I sure wish there was a dipstick that I could check to see how many layers of my onion have been penetrated and dissolved, but there doesn't seem to be, and so there's just this. It's just have a willingness and a burning to see it through, and to accept the good and the bad together. The other thing is having supportive friends. I have some wonderful friends I can call and talk to about these things. Not everybody understands these kinds of things, and so it's important to have people who do and who can really be there with you when it's not going so great, and when it's going great too. Boy, there's nothing like a good day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and have it celebrated with your friends or Beautiful. Wow. Well, that has been a wonderful hour we spent here. Thank you so much for those 3 tips, and I hope that some of the listeners here are motivated to take that leap and start really feeling that place inside that wants freedom more than anything, and are willing to start investigating in that in yourself. If you can check out my website, you can check out the Hakomi website. My website is lillarose.com, spelled LILLAROSE.com, and you can find a lot of information there, and you can also sign up for one of my 30-minute free discovery sessions where we can explore some of this. And you can also go to womenstandingforlove.com, which is another one of my sites. And you can, of course, check out the whole Hakomi site, which is spelled Hakomi. Jodi, thank you so much. It's been absolutely lovely to be here with you, and I really appreciate your willingness to just come on the air like that and share your experience here. Is there a last word you want to send people off with?
Take heart.
Take heart.
It gets better. Thank you, Pernilla. Thank you for letting me come on and be my usual honest, blunt self.
There you go. All right, my dear. Thank you so much, and thank you so much to the listeners. And wishing you a blessed day, all of you. And I'll be back next week.
Come and join our love. It's so right. If you could feel what we feel now, you'd be a leader filled with might. 'Cause we're awakened. You won't catch us sleeping through the fire.